December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. These were the words of U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. This event marked the beginning of the brutal Pacific War, a conflict that would rage across the vast ocean from the jungles of Southeast Asia to the shores of Iwo Jima. But what led to this war, and how did it reshape history forever? Join us as we explore the Pacific War, the battles, strategies, and the ultimate downfall of Imperial Japan. By the late 1930s, Japan had already expanded its empire, occupying Manchuria and invading China. Seeking to dominate the Pacific and secure vital resources, Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. This devastating assault crippled the U.S. Pacific Fleet and propelled the United States into World War II. However, Japan's leaders underestimated the resilience of the U.S. and its allies. What followed was a brutal campaign across the Pacific, one of the deadliest theaters of war in history. 6 months after Pearl Harbor, the U.S. retaliated in a decisive battle, the Battle of Midway in June 1942. American code breakers had intercepted Japanese plans, allowing the U.S. Navy to ambush and sink 4 Japanese aircraft carriers. This battle marked a turning point, shifting the balance of power in favor of the Allies. Cut to animated battle map showing movements of U.S. and Japanese forces. With Japan's naval dominance weakened, the U.S. launched an aggressive island-hopping strategy, slowly reclaiming territory one island at a time. Fighting in the Pacific was unlike anything seen in Europe. The terrain was harsh, dense jungles, volcanic islands, and relentless heat. Japanese soldiers fought to the death, refusing to surrender. Guadalcanal, 1942 to 1943. The first major Allied offensive, U.S. Marines endured months of brutal combat, facing starvation, disease, and relentless Japanese counterattacks. Tarawa, 1943. A small atoll where U.S. forces suffered heavy casualties within just 76 hours of battle. Saipan, 1944. A critical island where thousands of Japanese civilians tragically chose suicide over capture. Each battle pushed the Allies closer to Japan, but at a devastating cost. One of the most infamous battles of the Pacific War was Iwo Jima, February to March 1945. This volcanic island, just 750 miles from Japan, was heavily fortified with underground tunnels and bunkers. The battle lasted over a month, with U.S. Marines facing relentless Japanese resistance. Out of 21,000 Japanese defenders, only about 200 surrendered. The famous image of U.S. Marines raising the American flag on Mount Suribachi became an enduring symbol of bravery. As Japan faced inevitable defeat, it resorted to desperate tactics. Kamikaze pilots, suicide bombers, crashed planes into U.S. ships, inflicting massive damage. Then came the Battle of Okinawa, April-June 1945, the bloodiest battle of the Pacific War. Over 100,000 Japanese soldiers and 12,000 American troops died. Thousands of civilians were also caught in the crossfire. This battle made it clear an invasion of Japan itself would be catastrophic. With Japan refusing to surrender, the U.S. made a fateful decision. On August 6, 1945, an atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. 3 days later, Nagasaki was also devastated. Over 200,000 people died, either instantly or from radiation. On August 15, 1945, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's surrender, bringing an end to World War II. The Pacific War left millions dead and much of Asia in ruins. Japan was occupied by U.S. forces and its empire was dismantled. The war also reshaped global politics, leading to the Cold War between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. Yet, the sacrifices made in the Pacific remain a powerful reminder of the horrors of war and the resilience of those who fought. The Pacific War was one of the most intense and devastating conflicts in history. It reshaped nations, forged heroes, and left behind a legacy of courage and tragedy. What do you think was the most pivotal moment of the Pacific War? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, like, share, and subscribe to Echoes of Time for more stories from the past. Until next time.